my name is Linh Yuan, and my co-host is
Edward Thomas the Third.
Lamar.
I'm gonna get you.
You never say Lamar. You said you're proud of it.
I never said that.
Yes, you did. It means the sea or something.
It does. it means the sea, the ocean with emotion. Yes.
Okay, it means the ocean. Okay, what's today's topic, Edward?
Well, today we're going to talk about things that you should disclose before you get married. And we have a whole range of topics. Today we have also two guests. We have our professor.
Guests.
Yes, we have one of our really favorite podcasters. Our fans. Sorry, she's our fans. She's a listener, yeah. She's a professor in all kinds of different topics. I think she has like 5 PhDs or something like that. And then we have our returning guest. Well, you guys introduce yourselves. Mr. Blazer.
Are we really doing this?
Yes, go, Mr. Blazer.
Boy.
Mr.
But
Blazer.
let the professor stop first, you know.
Okay, Professor.
Hi, I'm Hamida.
Hello, Dr. Hamida.
Hi, Professor.
So he goes back to that posh thing again. Hi, Professor.
And we have Blazer Boy.
Oh, everyone knows me by now. Timmy.
Timmy. Okay, so how did we come to the topic of things to discuss before you get
I don't know.
married?
I think it was something in the cookie that you gave me and it made us start talking about small things that we should disclose.
Should we laugh or not laugh?
Well, I mean, obviously, if that's all you got, it's all you got. You know, blame God.
What?
So
all you got is going on.
So anyway, so what kind of things would you like for your future husband or wife to disclose to you?
If they don't want children, or if they can't have children.
Well, that's two different things.
What if they like to eat
that's
children?
True.
Oh, dude.
Just putting it out there, you know, while we're talking. I mean, we just
food preferences, okay.
No, so I have a story. So a former colleague, her daughter was married to a man for 5 years, and he got a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after 5 years, he told her that he got a vasectomy.
He waited 5 years?
Why
Yeah.
didn't he tell her
when
before?
did he get the vasectomy?
Before they met.
Before they met.
Before they met. And
That
he
is
never
just
told
cruel.
her.
It's not like he forgot, you know, like, oops.
No. But
And he knew
but
she wanted children.
he still married her?
Yeah.
Is he a bad person?
Oh, she's about to say the D word. I heard it coming.
I saw those
heard it
lips.
coming. I know. She
So
restrained
she divorced
herself.
him.
Yeah, I can't.
Of course.
Yeah,
understand
that's
that.
fair.
So I think that's fair to disclose. If you want children,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whether or not you can have children,
Or if you know.
you
But
know.
in some
Yeah,
cases,
you
you could
should
be
know.
infertile and then
And
you
you don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah.
That's true.
But that's a different
Wow.
issue, though. In
Yeah.
this case, it was like someone
Yeah.
actively.
This is that is deception. That's
Yeah.
just wrong.
A Decepticon.
But I
That's
also
what
know
I'm
of a
talking,
couple
relational Decepticon.
when I grew up in Germany, and they got married. None of them knew about any infertility issues, and they tried to have a baby, and it turned out the man couldn't have any kids. And
That's usually the case.
and the woman
Yeah.
wanted. He could not produce a functional semen.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is, she wanted to still stay with him, but he divorced her because he wanted to sacrifice himself so she could go and have a happy
He's a
life
hoe.
with someone else.
He was looking at someone else.
Foul.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what they told. The
Okay.
story I've heard about. And then she got married to some other guy, and she got a kid, and that's happy there. And I don't know about him
Okay.
because she wanted to stay with him anyway, but he said no. I think you deserve better. Bye.
Wow.
Yeah,
There you go.
talking about deserve better. What if they don't disclose if they have a micro penis?
I knew he was going to go there.
What is the question?
Exactly. That's what
I
want
want
to hear.
I want to
Yeah.
hear what the women have to say about this. What would you do,
Well, let me tell you
Professor?
what I think.
What would you do if you find out your
We're
husband has a
someone
mic?
who's married and
mic-
who's not married.
Yes. So what would you do
It's
as
someone who
like?
can't be married.
You're so
Oh.
mean.
I would ask.
Would you ask your before?
So do you have micropins?
Wow. Wow.
Oh,
Like,
oh
And then I
wow!
love your straightforwardness. Could you give me a definition of micropins?
I'm gonna ghost you, but
I I wouldn't be that straightforward.
No, we'll just say. So how
what do you
how
do?
big?
You
so
take-
how long? Like
you take out like a little brainstorm or something.
Lynn.
You're like, so, are ya? You with your fingers around. Just tell me when it stops.
just say stop.
Wow.
Really? Really?
You guys, I regret saying now that.
Like, okay, start again. Really? No. Okay, start again. Slower.
Yeah, like if you. So what if like you're deformed in some way, like, or
Deformed
your
and-
sexual organs are disformed?
I think that in a
yeah.
healthy relationship, these things would come up naturally somehow.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it
No,
would.
some people
I-
would hide this.
No,
Because in a healthy relationship, obviously, that would probably be something that you would be ashamed of or have some complex or things that traumatize you. You should be sharing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think
I mean, you should be sharing it, but I'm just saying that it's not a given that you're going to share.
But
that.
then
Exactly.
definitely should not marry that person in any case.
Well,
don't
then what
think I
if you're
would
already married?
I don't think I would ask directly, but I would try to have those type of
You
conversations.
and your not direct questions. What is this? Like, how do you communicate with someone? I can ask you directly, but I just need to know some things about you.
And your anatomy.
Yeah.
No, but just ask them how they feel about their body, if they're confident with their body, if they have certain insecurities.
And they'll say, "Oh yeah, sometimes my fingernails they get a little long. You know, I'm really insecure about that." And you go, "Okay, what about your stuff?" Well, I mean, like, how do
How
like,
do
the only
you
way can
extrapolate
talk
that?
about that is actually to like name.
But,
it.
I mean, you should never... I think, in my opinion, you should not marry someone who would not disclose that. Because that's obvious. Because she already like made the playing field for you to lay it
I would
there.
disclose
Yeah,
it,
but
whether it was
Lynn,
normal or
but
not. I'm just
remember
like,
the shame that also
my-
accompanies something like that
Exactly.
could literally be
But
so
if you
big.
cannot put this out there for your future spouse you want to share the rest of your life
It's
with...
a vulnerability, but
Maybe
something
not.
you should.
It's a
be willing to
vulnerability,
share.
but it could also be that kind of card that you're keeping in the back pocket because you know it could be it could be the like.
Oh, so you think
could
that
be-
if you get
It could be
married
like-
and then the
You would
other
never.
one finds out
What if
after
some
you
people
married
actually
them?
have an irrational fear that they will never get married, that they will never be happy, or they'll never have someone who would
Or-
love them
Or trick
with their
question,
micro
what if it's
penis?
the other way around?
Exactly.
What do you
Like
mean?
if it's not a micro penis, but
It's a schlong.
I've read an article
What
about
did you
that
just
on
call it?
Expressen, and that guy actually said that he had big issues.
What big issue?
No, he
What
had
big
problems.
issues?
I'm so big.
No, but those women, they would not want to be with him because they would be afraid. They said, "No, I don't think I want to do this." And then
I'd be
in
afraid
the end,
too.
he had to do a cut.
Reduction.
He had to
Yeah,
reduce his
reduction.
penis.
Oh, regardless, little big, don't cut me. Oh
You
no,
you probably don't have that problem, so
you don't know that.
no, I don't.
Wow.
I'm glad you don't.
Okay.
and we will never find out. Thank
Well,
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
Let me tell
Hallelujah.
you the truth, ladies, no?
we cannot have it.
The Lord said no.
Yeah, but I mean, I think anything anything that you're uncomfortable with, anything you know could potentially be an issue, because it's either outside of the norm, or, what is normal, or some way, you know, whatever. Those kind of things, I think, at some point, if you know the relationship is getting serious, you should disclose it, just so you give the other person a chance to decide, hey, am I also, you know, ready to do this or not? I mean, some things are a deal breaker, and you can't. In an honest relationship, you have to be willing to let the other person make a decision to not be with you. Otherwise, you're a manipulator.
But that's what I said. You guys like, no, you don't have to tell them about your micro penis. And I'm like, what?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That just seems. Maybe it's just because I'm a guy, so it just seems like cruel. Because I mean, if you can't do anything about it,
But you still should
there's gotta
tell
be a
the
reason-
other person.
there's gotta be a reason why it's like that.
But you still have to give the other person the opportunity to say,
Yeah,
okay, I
you don't
can
have to
deal
be
with
that
this.
caring or whatever. That's not real
Wow.
love.
Oh my gosh.
What about in a Christian context as well, where you you don't disclose as
like
well
how
that
big
you
your
have.
Bible is or something.
No, but in a
If
sense
you have
where
been a virgin or not.
no, but
what?
that is just yeah.
What? Body count. We talked about body count.
Can I finish?
Yeah, that was really weird because
yeah,
when
body
we're talking about
count.
body counting,
Body count is important.
I thought it was like you were a mass murderer, and we're talking about how many bodies you have buried in the
like,
church.
He's not in the loop.
I'm just like,
wow.
So, I know that we're getting really serious, so let me just tell you this thing. I have this side gig going on, and I'm probably about 20 bodies buried out,
You're like, you're really successful. You're one of the best one in your field.
See, I'm thinking about writing a book and making a movie, and so.
Because I know that with Muslims, when they meet a new person, they believe that everything prior to that relationship, like past relationships, they don't have to share it with that person.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I was told. So you don't disclose your body count, whatever, how that relationship ended.
No.
It's just like a fresh beginning.
It will come back.
How much should you dig into a past relationship?
It will come back.
It depends on how much you feel that you can live with. So, like for me, the whole body. Now that I know what a body count thing is, I need to know. You gotta give me a number and details.
Between 1 and 100.
Wow.
Preferably not 100.
Wow.
99?
I think at 100, I'm like, nah, I'm sorry, I'm done. I
Why?
gotta leave before I.
Why?
100?
Why? There's nothing wrong with 100.
It's like
I'm kicking you out the church right now. You're just bad.
I think if you had
have
100
intimacy
partners,
issues.
I think there is a problem. It's that something has been going on with you. You have had some kind of issues. You try to fill with bodies.
But what if, let's say, you were very promiscuous, you get saved.
Mm-hmm.
You're a new creation in Christ. You meet someone.
That sounds good on paper.
You wouldn't. Date that person.
No, because so you might become a new person in the sense of who you are in Christ, but your past, you can't escape what you've done. And so
But
You
this
still
is.
carry
But
that
you
away.
see,
And
this
so-
is
so
why
listen,
people
and
don't
with-
tell stuff.
No, listen. And with that, if you have a body count of 100, firstly, we did an episode earlier one day on STDs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the more people you sleep with, the higher the probabilities that you're going to catch an STD.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. It is so that it can affect the future of the relationship. The other thing is that we all know that through research that sleeping with people, the more people you sleep with, the more you start to develop these intimacy problems that you cannot bond. You cannot have an intimacy of one-to-one because you've never trained. You psychologically, physically, everything, have never trained yourself to actually resist the temptation to just give in to that. You've always given in to that. And so what happens is that you may not be able to have intimacy.
But I think
That's one of the problems that we know from being promiscuous is that it causes intimacy problems.
But I think also that, because I believe that you can always renew your life through Christ. I mean, it's for me because I believe that because you went down that road once doesn't mean that, okay, for the rest of your life, no one is going to marry you anymore because you have a body count of 100. But I think the more time goes between you've left this life to now, let's say that was 5 years ago, I think that proves a point though. Shouldn't it?
No.
Okay.
What?
So you screwed.
Okay.
So if you had
Well,
100
listen,
bodies,
listen.
then you're like,
Listen,
okay.
no, but there's some things that even though you become a new person in Christ doesn't fix every single thing in this life from what your past. Some things will just follow you through life because that's one of the consequences of the decisions that you make. So I don't mean that you can never get married or anything, but you just need to. That's why you should disclose that kind of thing because a person may need to understand why are you having problems with intimacy. Or way other things that follow along with you. You don't just because you become a new person in Christ, your past isn't eliminated. Only the consequences of your past is eliminated. And I think.
But now the consequences are still stuck with you. They're not eliminated.
No, I mean things like so. Once we believe that the Bible teaches that sex outside of marriage. Now we're all on a totally different subject, but sex outside of marriage is a sin. So once I become a believer, I'm accepting that Christ died for all those particular sins, all those 100 people, let's say. Mm-hmm. So that consequence of that sin, God's wrath, no longer applies to me. That part of my past is erased. That part when it comes to my salvation, relationship with God. But whatever physical things that have happened in that relationship, whether it's diseases, whether it's psychological problems, what about all the babies and children I have from these different people who I may not have contact with?
But we're just assuming stuff, because what if that person used a condom every single time?
I doubt it.
Or what if that person was a trafficking victim? Or traffic victim, or sex traffic victim?
Yeah, but that's a different thing, though, because I wouldn't count a body count on a sex trafficking victim. So if I've been forced into sex or something, I didn't give myself to those people. I was forced into a life for that, and I think there's a difference. Body counting for me is how many people have I actually
willingly and consensually.
There's a gray line, because if you're if you're in prostitution as well, some people will say, "Oh, well, you're willingly choosing to give your body away."
No, but I count those as different, because if you're in a prostitute, so it's actually almost kind of a job. Your job is to have sex with people.
It is a job.
Well, I mean, if you're not getting paid for it.
In Germany, it's a job. You have to get paid taxes.
Oh my God.
Which also means that you have rights.
In the Netherlands as well.
What?
Yeah.
You moved to the wrong country, Timmy.
Why? but Ed, then you are on the side then that you have to suffer the consequences. Then maybe
sometimes
you have to. I don't know.
No, but I mean, I'm saying that just because you're a new person, a new creature in Christ. So I think we're thinking the spiritual level also affects the physical. It doesn't always do that. There's no direct parallel. That's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm just saying, if the woman is willing to do the work,
go
to therapy,
do the test.
Yeah, but it's not a psychological thing. So therapy can't make you have intimacy.
That's true.
So some things.
There's sex therapists.
Let's say that after 40
That's
partners,
more erotic.
Let's just say that after 40 partners, the ability to have intimacy is destroyed. Just arbitrarily picking a number. Whatever you do, if that's the case, if that's a consequence of having sex with 40 different partners, even though you become a new creature in Christ, the consequence of that having that many partners is still going to follow you, because that's just a consequence.
So you're saying that there is no way back?
Not unless God miraculously does something, but a miracle isn't what happens all the time in every situation. A miracle is an exception. It's God's intervention into the laws of nature, which means that it doesn't happen every single time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a miracle. It would be something you can expect, just like a law of nature. And so you guys all look at me like, what is he going on about? But it's not about judging the person. It's not saying they can't be married or anything, but there will be consequences because of the choices you make. And those choices, I think that's the whole thing. We're unwilling to accept the fact that some things, as we choose to live outside of God's standard for our life, God knows that He knows that you continue to live out this way, there are certain things that are going to happen that will not be erased.
Would you say it's the exact same for men then?
Yeah. It's not a women and men thing. It's a sex thing.
It's a human thing.
It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Whoever you have a lot of sex partners, you will lose the ability to have intimacy.
I think it's
That's
also a protective mechanism.
Yeah, because you can't give yourself to so many people.
Well, that's the whole thing. You tend to divide out. So if you look at how sex was designed by God, sex was designed, if you look at it from a Christian perspective, sex was designed to be used within a couple who would always be monogamous, together for life. It was never intended to be something that would bind you together with thousands of other people. And I think that's the problem. We've accepted this standard from the world to look at sex as just a mechanism, something that we just do that actually doesn't have any other kinds of functions within our lives. That's
just for fun.
That's just a lie.
Yeah.
The thing is that sex, because it's designed by God for a certain thing, when we use sex outside of God's realm for it, there are consequences for it. Just like a drug that's used to make me well, if I misuse the drug, there's consequences from that, and it makes me sick. It's not the drug's fault.
Or abusive. Yeah.
It's not the drug's fault. It's the way that I relate to it and how I use it or misuse it.
Yeah. What about debts?
Oh, are we gonna move on now?
Yeah. I think you should discuss
What
more.
about gender and sexual orientation or curiosities of it?
But I was about debts first.
Okay.
We're always back to sex again.
No, not necessarily. But with terms of gender, because some people all of a sudden they change and then they want to transition.
Yeah, I had a friend. She was engaged to a guy who then after some time
dumped her.
No, said, I think I'm a woman.
Oh, that one.
I'm going to go by another name now. And then he suddenly started to act more female when I met him. And yeah, that's the deal. And then my friend said, I don't think I'm ready for a lesbian relationship. I don't think I can deal with this because I've visited my life differently. And that thing broke.
Yeah.
I know somebody whose husband sleeps with other men. She knows, but she's just like letting it slide.
Wow.
Well, so they haven't talked about it, or it's like
She doesn't want to take that up. She doesn't know how to approach them.
But she knows he does that.
She knows, and she's.
But he's also with her.
Yeah.
And he's not telling her, though.
No, but he doesn't know she knows.
He's a dog.
But why she's not confronting him? Because she doesn't want to.
I don't.
'Cause she wants to stay in the
Because of cultural.
The shame, the
the culture, the shame, and everything accompanying this.
But I was
could
thinking,
get
like,
messy.
But yeah,
And there's kids involved as
I
well.
understand, but I mean, the man. I mean, how can they not like communicate? It's not about like telling everyone else and stuff.
No,
It's
but
People
about
will
them.
ask, and culturally, the community, people whisper, people know.
Yeah.
If Timmy knows this, that means there are other people that are also aware.
Yeah, but then shouldn't you and your wife be an ally somehow and try to work that
The
out?
guy's out here sleeping with other people. The allyship is dead.
Yeah, but maybe he would. Maybe now I'm naive. Maybe he would reconsider if she could talk to him about like, I know what's going on. Why are you not talking to me? What's
But maybe I think when people decide to stay, when they know if something's bad and they choose to stay in it, and they already know it's bad, is because they're either unwilling to live by themselves or they're afraid of living by themselves. And so better to have someone than no one kind of thing. Maybe there's other advantages. So there might be financial advantages to staying married. If this person is the provider.
or culturally?
The cultural
Status,
stigmatism of divorce or whatever in different cultures. So there's all these different pressures to stay. And the person then chooses to allow evil to continue because we believe that marriage is monogamous. So anytime anyone is unfaithful, we think that that's wrong, and then allowing that to happen makes you a participant in that particular. Although you can never claim victim, you can never claim, oh, poor me. You're not poor. You
You knew.
you once you found out, you allowed it to happen, and
continue.
therefore
Yeah.
you become now a participant.
Yeah.
You become an accomplice in this particular form of evil and stuff like that. So
It could also be a coping mechanism. Like if I don't bring it up, you don't have to deal with what's coming.
yeah, the
Yeah.
consequences,
It's just
like
like-
leaving,
Oh.
get in your own place.
So, Kronofogden, should you send in an application to check your partner's debt?
You should do a credit check.
Yeah, you should do a credit check.
I think that people should be open enough that to say, hey, listen, I have a lot of debt. I've got $2 million in debt. Do you still want to get married? And
No.
the answer should be no. Clear up your debt. Once you clear your debt up, then let's continue.
Call me.
No, I mean, you could freeze the relationship where it's at. We're not going to
people
develop
move on.
anymore and give the person time to, develop
But also,
a budget.
in terms
But they haven't done it, and $2 million in debt, unless it was just at one time, and it's accumulated over time, and probably people just don't change that
Yep.
radically.
But also,
unless they-
people
People
who
don't
get
change.
money from a source that is a little bit anonymous, or you're not really clear about that. Check that out as well, because it could
No,
be.
you don't. You just do it with like your friend. Just don't.
I mean, like when they come,
dig it up.
when they're like, "Oh, payday's coming," some guy comes with a brown paper bag filled with money.
Yeah, check that
some-
out. Don't think
and
that
some
he has
crack
a side
pipes.
business, and
if you don't
side
know,
hustle.
you can't be persecuted.
What about stuff like prenuptial agreements? If someone
Depends
is
how much money is involved.
no, but if you meet someone and they have their business and they're like, I want to be with you, but I created this before we met, and I want you to sign a prenup.
I think that's fair.
Then no, I would be like this. I'm like, okay, so you're assuming that we're going to get a divorce,
Or
You're
you
try-
think there's a risk that you do.
you're trying to guard yourself in case, and just in case, you want to make sure that what's yours is yours and what's mine is mine. In that case, then you got your house, you give me another house, and when the divorce happens, we got our own houses.
And then also, and you
it-
don't trust me, so you believe that if we get a divorce, I will take everything from
Or that
you.
I'm marrying you for
But
your money.
why you guys are making it sound like a prenup is something bad?
Oh yeah,
I think it.
I'm glad you caught on.
I think the attitude.
doesn't
I
necessarily
do
have to
understand.
be
I do
that.
understand how people think, but then I also think that I believe that you should marry for life, which means this prenup thing should not be an issue. Should not even come up.
If you get married, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours.
And it's usually the person who has a lot who comes up with the prenup. It's not like the person who has nothing. Like, hey, let's sign a prenup. Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, Lynn.
I got nothing, but just in case I get something.
I want you to know I don't want your stuff, so I want you to sign a prenup.
Yeah, and it's usually when there's that disparity, that long distance in wealth. So one person has a lot of wealth, and another person doesn't have. Not even in the competition. Like you're not even close.
It's not equal.
And there's a greed aspect to that that I think is really uncomfortable. So, but I mean, if you're not a believer, whatever.
Do what you want.
Do what you want. Live free.
I think it's important to also,
yeah.
Continue.
Okay. Can I?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Oh, come on.
Prenup?
I'm gonna wait till you start talking. Then I'm gonna interrupt you.
That's what he does at school. That's why the kids hate him.
I'm like, no, but I think that when it starts to come to money issues, those are always the most sensitive things.
Yeah,
Like we spend a lot of time talking about the
Absolutely.
sexual part of it, but I think money might be more sensitive than sex sometimes because people are really strange about their money. So I mean, we talked about the debt, but we talked about what about your obligations?
what
So,
to
like-
pay, how much to pay.
Well, I mean, let's say that you have children from another relationship and they're still small, so you have child support payments, which means you may be making a lot of money, but your child support is also a lot of money, so you don't have that much money left over, which means that even though you're making a lot of money, so much has to go to the child support, so you guys have to live simply. So, I mean, those kind of things that, when
or
it
you
comes-
want to send money to your parents because your parents need to
There
be
you go.
helped out.
There you go.
Or your friends want to borrow money.
Yeah,
Well, then
some people find
But then,
that as a
I mean,
problem.
when it comes to borrowing money, if I'm not married to you, I don't need to tell you nothing because I'm not married to you.
Also,
But once I get married to you, then I think that if you're going to loan money out, that should be a couple decision.
also, if you should have separate bank accounts or
That's a big
Sometimes.
That's a
issue.
big thing.
That's a big issue.
And then, I mean, and then again, you have to look back at people's their story that they're carrying with them into the relationship, and why they may want to have that. But I think the best thing would be that if two people could talk about money. The problem with that, I think we talked about that before in an early episode, is that people tend to not be equal when it comes to the money thing. You have a spender always with a saver. More.
if you
more
have
like
both spenders, that's bad.
That's
Yeah.
really
two
bad.
spenders, you're a cardboard box on the street.
You're you're
Playing two cans together,
too
saying,
dead.
"Give me some money." And if you're two savers, you're so cheap that you don't spend anything. You just save. You just keep amassing money, but
You're
you don't have a
greedy.
life. You don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And so at some point, it's kind of good that savers and spenders, but there has to be a balance between that. You can't be an extreme saver and an extreme spender because you'll just drive each other crazy. But there has to be a place in there where the spender helps the saver to enjoy life a little bit more and spend some of their
Yeah.
capital, and where the saver helps the spender do things like
restrain.
a budget.
Just restraint.
Listen, we can save up 3 months. You can get it in 3 months. Even if it's a little more expensive, it's okay. We don't need the credit. So if you can keep that open discussion and stuff like that. But money is the number one issue that couples fight about. So I think money is more important than the sexual, physical things because it is a gigantic disruptor in relationships. When people haven't talked about money, don't have the same value.
It's very
For
stressful.
money. Yeah, it is. I mean, you have bills to pay and, people, and everyone, the thing is, everyone wants to have a little extra pocket change.
Yeah.
You don't want all your money going. One person's out there spending money and you're like paying all the bills and being responsible. It produces bitterness.
But would you leave a person if they were a millionaire and they were like, I love you, I want to be with you, but when it comes to my business, this is mine.
What do they mean with this is
Well,
mine?
I hope that you would have found that out before you got married to them.
No, as in they want you to sign that agreement.
Aha.
The
That say
prenup.
everything we make now can be ours, but this business is mine. Would you still marry that person?
Well, that's really strange, though, because as their wife, you were entitled to half. You're entitled to that. You're entitled to everything that they made prior meeting you. Isn't that?
But
like-
would you also take the same kind of responsibility or same role if it comes back to bite him and the business goes really back and it literally
Yeah,
goes
of course.
bankrupt.
That's what marriage is about. It's a good and bad.
But if you sign a prenup, what happens is that wealth, if it dissolves, it should have nothing to do with you. Because that's the whole point of a prenup. Is like this wealth here that you're not part of. Whatever happens to that, you're not either a part of. So like when it goes sour and you lose all your money, you cannot come up to your partner. Well, can you help me out? No. What's yours is yours. You didn't take care of your business. God, maybe he got you because you're so greedy. And then you just, that's the whole thing. But how does that situation promote the oneness and the unity that we believe a marriage should be? I think that you're sowing a seed for divorce. I think you sow a seed for disunity instead of a seed
Division.
for unity. Yeah.
Like this mind is yours, this mind is yours.
And it helps you to stay as a single person, especially for guys who tend to be very selfish in their single life. It helps them to keep promoting the single me first mentality.
It's my money. It's my
money,
thing.
Yeah. I can do whatever I want with my money. I mean, you could hear how that sounds. Like that, that's just a killer in marriage. That just doesn't make any sense. So
yeah, I'm torn because at one point I
because you want to make money.
I want to marry a millionaire.
Who doesn't want to have a prenup?
Well, you tithe. Because you need to marry a millionaire, and then I need to marry you and the millionaire, and they need to be I need to join the church.
Because I agree with Lynn, but when I look at Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and stuff like that, they're both divorced now, right? And their wives are some of the richest women on earth. And they met their wives before they became millionaires, and these women sacrificed a lot to take care of their children and all of that. So I think they're entitled to half of that. But some people would say because the men own these companies, why should their women be entitled to half? You will hear those arguments.
Yeah, but you never had to get married. You chose to get married. Here we go again with consequences. If I choose to get married, I have to choose the consequences of being married.
Yeah.
And when I'm trying to manipulate that, everything we do to try to manipulate or change what marriage originally was from God's perspective, we tend to makes marriage worse. It doesn't make marriage better. So I would disagree with that. I'm like, the people who say that are probably people who are stingy, greedy, and want to keep money all to themselves and think about themselves, because that's not what marriage is. Marriage is a joining together of two lives with their wealth or lack of wealth, with their families or lack of families. It's a joining together. That's what makes it a covenant. And so, or part of the covenantal aspect of it. And therefore, I think that if you want to have a healthy marriage, you probably should avoid these kind of things that tend to sow the seed that can blossom into separation, divorce.
Don't sign a prenup.
No,
Talk about it at least. Like, why do you want to?
I mean, you should really talk about it. I was watching this. So there's this this series on Netflix called Kung Fu, and
Typical.
And Kung Fu is the older daughter. So she's getting married to this family who's really, really rich, but her family is like they're in San Francisco, Chinatown. They're not poor, but they're not rich.
Middle.
Yeah, they're about middle.
Yeah.
And so what happens is they're having dinner together, and then the family says they want the daughter to sign a prenup. And she gets really upset, and I understand why she got really upset. The son got really upset, and he put the family straight. That's not how you do things. You're ruining my marriage. So he doesn't get her to sign the prenup, which I thought was really good to see.
That he was on her side.
That he was on her side, even though the family was trying to pressure them and stuff like that. So, and that just came into my mind right now. But
That's a good side of a marriage.
Yeah, and so I think that I think it's important that the more things that you could try to be open about and reveal, first it gives you an opportunity to talk to each other. Gives you an opportunity to see different sides of the person. All information you can get before you get married can help you to make a wise and better decision. The less you can talk about, too many skeletons in the closet, too many private things, that's a warning sign that's not an open communication area, and that you can't live a life, you can't share life, you can't make life together with someone with whom you cannot talk about things, even sensitive things. All right. Well, I guess it's time to wrap it up. As always, Lynn's been talking way too much, and our guests. I never get into. I get like 5 minutes of talk time.
Wait, I think as well, medical history. It's important to disclose such things in terms of cancer and such stuff. genetic sicknesses, metabolic sicknesses.
But it's not like I would, okay, your family had a history of cancer. Nah, not dating you.
No,
Yeah,
but
it sounds harsh.
But if you know you
I
have
wouldn't
like
do
high
that.
blood pressure, if you know you have a heart that could explode at any time. I mean, so I think it depends on what it is.
Or sickle cell.
Exactly. Yeah.
For black people.
You need to disclose things like that.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
But okay, so the sickle cell thing, in that case, like I think that for black people, this is one of those times where I think like taking the test and knowing that if you carry, so you can both parents have the husband and wife can both have only one of the genes for it, which means their children can get sickle cell anemia and stuff like that. So I think screening like that would be really important, just so you know, because sometimes there are certain diseases that are carried from those two couples, and that means that your children are going to have two friends.
But it's not 100% though.
No, but the probability is really high.
But I mean, that would be the same then for, maybe the man and the woman, they're both carrying a gene for, I don't know, breast cancer. Oh, now you cannot have kids or you cannot have girls because they might get this or that.
Exactly. But the cancer thing may not necessarily happen.
Yeah.
But sickle cell does.
But okay. I don't know about sickle cell, but there are a lot of other genes also that higher your probability of having whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that.
But it's like
I think
hemophilia.
but
Hemophilia, if you have two sides of the gene. So certain things is that because you get one of the genes from one of the father and the mother. So there are certain genetic disorders that are carried that way.
I know.
So if you're screening for it, at least you know about it ahead of time. You can make a decision.
Right.
Should we two get married?
I know.
If we know that.
I know that, but we had in school we had a class about this kind of things also, and we talked about the ethical dilemma, like for people, for example, to do this kind of genetic testing on the internet, either for diseases or ancestry or whatnot, and who had rights to that information, and what it does to our society to start screening people for different genes. I think it's a slippery slope. It's very slippery slope. I think so.
Because there's certain genetic. So there's certain types of illnesses that are very prevalent in only certain people's groups. Tay-Sachs disease is another one. And so when we screen for these things, when we know that within a certain people group, here's something that's attached to that people group, I think scanning for those specific kind of things are really important just so the couple can make an informed decision.
Because it
doesn't affect you, it affects your children.
I think that is very naive of you to think, because I believe that people will start to point out those people, would isolate them, you're a carrier of this and that, you should not marry them because they have this and this.
So if we take sickle cell, if we take sickle cell, it's majority of people with sickle cell are black people. So you don't find Asians with sickle cell. You don't find white people with sickle cell.
Yeah, but then don't you think among black people would be like, they're like stoned because they carry that gene.
No.
They also carry that gene.
No, that's not how it's functioned among us. I mean, in the States, we have screening for sickle cell anemia, so you know if you're carrying that particular allele, so that you have informed information, so that you can do something about it. So it's not like the gene for alcoholism. It doesn't make you an alcoholic. If you never drink alcohol, you don't become an alcoholic. That means you're carrying a gene that increases the probability of something. That's one type of form. But then we're talking about something that actually causes a disease, and within a certain combination of two people. And so I think that within our communities, at least, it doesn't. Wow.
Yeah.
Here's our guest, Timmy. Listen, you gotta listen to him.
Just hold the microphone.
Yeah, just.
Okay. Yes.
This was so intellectually challenging for him. he passed out.
Okay. Yes, you want to make a point.
Yes. So I think there are certain things. I don't think it should be done just generally for everything, but there are certain things that are genetically attached to certain people groups. And those groups, people within those groups, have to make a decision just for their own information. And I think that certain things like that within the group aren't stigmatized as much as other types of diseases that are just generally available to the whole human population. So,
I understand your point. I still think it's not a good idea.
Oh, yeah, well, we disagree.
Yeah?
We finally have something we can disagree about that you're wrong about. So,
How am I wrong?
Because
How am I
I'm
more
right.
wrong than you are?
because I'm right. I'm older than you. I've lived longer. I'm wiser.
I'm just saying, I went to university. It's a field of my expertise.
I went to university.
We talked about this before.
It's my field
We've
of
seen
university.
trends in societies
Yeah.
with genetic testing. There's a lot of advantages to it, but there are also a lot of potential risks to it. And looking at humans and how they behave and what they think and their culture and how it evolves, it's a very slippery slope. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think it would be different. Oh, wow, look, we're all heated up. I think it would be different. Like we're trying to scan for, is our kid gonna have blue eyes or be tall or something like that?
No, it doesn't have to even go that far.
Yeah, but I'm
It
just
does-
saying this. But this is something that's confined to a certain people group or a
But
certain.
it won't be confined, though. It's not
It will
like
be.
we only do sickle cell. Okay, but then other people, but we also want to screen. We want to screen for diabetes. And then there will be a big, let's do for diabetes. Then but we want to screen for, I don't know, hearing loss. Okay, we have to include that
But
one
is
too.
there-
So
is
there's
there-
a lot.
But is there a
that's going
gene
to
that
it.
causes diabetes?
There are
or is-
genetic markers
Genetic markers that can show
for diabetes
that
type
can
1.
show a higher risk of it, but it doesn't necessarily cause it. It's not going to cause it.
But there are also other
100%.
genetic tests for genetic diseases that will, I don't know, I think, is it Huntington? Huntington, maybe?
Oh, Huntington's disease.
Yeah.
But I have two friends that both of their kids have inherited a really, really rare disease, and it just happens to be the genetic makeup of both parties.
Yeah.
They didn't know before they got married,
Yeah.
and because they had they didn't get the diagnosis right until after the second kid. So, but that wasn't connected to a certain people group. That was just one of those diseases that is part of the entire human population, like Down syndrome. Is a certain percentage or risk at a certain age or something, or a certain recurrence of Down syndrome within the population. But these are things that are not common to the whole human population, only limited to a certain group of people within the human population.
Yeah, but I
So
think
that's why
they're
we're
also...
talking about screening for those particular things, and not screening in general.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Okay.
But I'm still saying that it will not be confined to one kind of like sickle cell
Yeah.
disease. I'm just telling you.
Because it would be
just
really
seeing the
weird for two
potential.
Asian people to show up. We want to get screened for sickle cell. I'd be like, what?
There are a lot
Go
of people.
home.
There will definitely be people who will do that because people are not informed. They're not educated.
But what?
This is life, Ed. And I think the more people that have money, they come up with all kinds of crazy things.
Well, rich people
So,
do crazy things because
yeah.
they have money.
Anyway, let's
Okay.
wrap it up.
Nope, I think we should talk more. Let's talk longer. We're never going to stop talking. So now that you've got onto Fika for Life, you're stuck for life.
Thank you guys for listening.
No, but I want to keep talking. Okay, bye. I have to go. She's giving me the evil eye. Now she's going to punch me in the eye now when we go, don't hit me.
Thank you for our listeners and sleepers.
Yeah, it's really nice having a guest who really just passed out because we're too much.
You too much.
You too much.
You too much.
No.
Thank you, Hamida and Timmy, for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been nice
us.
having you guys on. And if you want to join us, it didn't cost you guys that much to join us. It's only $1,000. So if you want to join and be part of the Fika for Life recording, just let us know. It doesn't cost that much. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for listening. If you have any comments or ideas, please send us a message to fikaforlife@mail.com. Fika, F-I-K-A. This was the Fika for Life podcast with Linh Nguyen and Edward Thomas, and we hope to hear you again.